And we're down to 4. Egypt has served an incredible experience for fans across the globe who have followed the 2019 African Cup of Nations. There were scenes of Algeria fans in France celebrating when Algeria punched their ticket into the semi-finals of the AFCON after they defeated Ivory Coast on penalties. My name is Solomon Fowe and this is Guardian Sports. I'm not alone in the studio. I've got Dennis Areze with me here, who's going to be offering insights on all things the 2019 AFCON. How's it going, Dennis?
Very well, Solomon. Always a pleasure.
Well, it's good to have you, and you've been really good when it comes to the predictions. Although you were not spot on this time, you predicted a 3-1 Nigeria to win against South Africa, but it didn't happen that way. It was Nigeria 2, South Africa 1. How do you feel about that?
Feel good. You know, it shows that the Super Eagles of Nigeria have really been doing me proud here.
All right. Before we go into the meat of the AFCON, it feels like a really good time for us to review the pre-tournament expectations that we had. There were power rankings before the tournament began, and we had Egypt at number 1, we had Senegal at number 2, Morocco at 3, and we had Nigeria at 4. Although we missed out on Tunisia, which was 5, and Algeria was in number 6. But we've not done so bad when it comes to that. But so were these the 4 teams you thought would end up at this stage of the tournament?
Yeah, absolutely, Solomon. Because before the tournament, I did predict that, you know, Nigeria will make it to the semi-final, and then I also predicted Egypt. But then I didn't know that if Egypt was to be at the semi-final.
Literally seconds ago, you said absolutely, and I was about giving you the props for that.
But you know that if Egypt had qualified to the semi-final, it means there was not going to be a place for the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Yeah, true.
But taking away from that, I actually predicted Senegal to be at this stage as well, and as well as the Ivorian team. But disappointing, I think 2 of my teams are out of the competition.
Okay, so we've got Nigeria, we've got Algeria, we've got Tunisia and Senegal. What team has impressed you the most?
It has to be Algeria, Solomon. It has to be Algeria because you consider their performance during the group stages, you know, finishing top of the group with 9 points and then going on to the round of 16, defeat their opponents, and not up until the quarterfinal. You know, they had not even considered a goal in the tournament so far, and the goal they considered against Cote d'Ivoire was the only goal that they considered, and they went ahead to win that match by penalties to set up for a clash with the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Incredible Jamal Belmadi's side. You know, they've impressed a whole lot in this tournament, especially when it comes to their setup, their ability to mix up play. But before we go into all things Algeria, because this show itself is about the preview between Algeria and Nigeria. So we're just going to circle back a bit to the 2013 side. That's Nigeria's 2013 side. Last time they won this tournament. You said they were your favorites to win the tournament. Do you think they measure up to that 2013 team?
Now, there are a whole lot of disparities between the Nigerian team in 2013 to the Super Eagles team we have here in Egypt at the AFCON 2019. But I think that this current team is a bit better than the team that we have in 2013. Case being that the team in 2013 really had a very slow start in the tournament. You know, they drew their first game, drew the second, and then won the last game by 2 penalties against Ethiopia. But then you look at this team, you know, their first 2 matches, they are 6 points, even though you want to argue that, you know, they fell short to Madagascar. And then you consider the quality of oppositions that they faced so far. You know, don't forget that this same team have dumped out the reigning African champions in Cameroon, and then they also defeated the Bafana of South Africa.
Yeah, so just from that point, against the South African side, you know, we're going to be looking at take homes from that game, what we took away, major takeaways from that game, especially with a viewpoint to the Algeria match. Now, it was 2-1 Nigeria against South Africa. What do you think impressed you the most in that match? Was it the comeback spirit, or what itself was the strongest impression on you from that game?
Yeah, the biggest impression from the match for me was, you know, seeing that the Super Eagles of Nigeria really possess more potential, you know, than what we have seen so far in the tournament. Because it was in that match that I was able to see that truly the Super Eagles of Nigeria can really link up play, you know, from the midfield up onto the attack. And I was able to see that, you know, the defense of Nigeria can really hold their own. Because if you look at that match, though you can make a case that the South Africans did not really come into gear in that match, you know, having less than about 3 shots on target. But you want to say that is a good applause for the Nigerian team, particularly the midfield duo of Wilfred Ndidi and Ogene Cairo Etebo, really stopping play by the South African midfielders. And as well, you want to give kudos and credit, to the Nigerian defense, save for the goal that the South Africans scored, which was off a deflection from Odion Igalo that was headed into the net.
Many people will tell you that this team has not quite reached its full potential. They're just doing everything that is adequate enough for them to get into the other side. Do you expect to see a fully developed side in the Nigerian side that's going to be facing Algeria? Do you expect them to be at their absolute best when they face the Algerians?
Now, Solomon, do not forget that while we're making the comparison between this team and then the team that won the AFCON in 2013, I made mention that they have a few similarities. And then the similarity I want to bring out here is, how they grow into competitions, game after game. Because before this stage of the competition, we were all here, lamenting and then complaining of how the Super Eagles of Nigeria have really been struggling, creating play and as well as creating chances and being able to keep it clean at the back. But so far so good in the tournament. You want to say that the team have really gelled, they've come off better despite the change in personnel by the manager Gonetro. But I feel the match against Algeria is a full fit to be tagged as the Clash of the Titans.
Well, the Clash of the Titans it will be because this Algerian side are no mincemeat by any stretch. When you look at the structure of their team, like I said, Jamal Belmadi has done an incredible job with this side. The way they are able to mix up play, going physical where it needs to be, and their pacey movement, their fast movement of the ball and breaking at pace. I think it's been incredible at this tournament. That's for Algeria. So I know you've seen a couple of games by the Algerians, especially that game against the Ivorian side. What do you think would be the biggest worry for Gennett Roy heading into that game?
Now, the biggest worry for Gennett Roy for me would be in terms of tactics. In terms of tactics, because I do not think that the Super Eagles of Nigeria lack the personnel, to execute that fixture and move into the final of 2019 AFCON. Rather, I see Gennett Roy Edic being, the kind of tactics that he would deploy. Do not forget that so far in the tournament, although we have seen Gennett Roy, do a change in personnel, a change in players in different matches, but the issue I've always had with Gennett Roy so far in this tournament is inability, to switch formations or to switch tactics as matches are going on. Case in point is the match against the South Africans. You see that, you started with a certain formation and then the team has been going. At the time, it became cagey for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, but you would have expected him, to do some tactical switching, but he doesn't do that. He sticks, to whatever he starts the game with. But I think that's one of the challenges he might be having against the Algerians, knowing full well, as you have mentioned, that this team can be very technical and at the same way they can be very physical.
Well, you said that the defense has shaped up. It's looking a whole lot better, especially at the combination of William Troost-Ekong and Kenneth Omeru. But now they're going to be facing a different opposition generally. You're looking at the likes of Bunja, you're looking at Riyad Mahrez and Youssef Belaili, who has been incredible in this tournament. He has been phenomenal. And from the midfield, you also have Ismail Benassia, who has been also incredible in this tournament. Do you think the defense of the Super Eagles will be able to match up with the physicality and also the technical prowess of the Algerians?
Now, before going into the defensive lineup of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, I feel that the midfield of Nigeria have really stepped up so far in this tournament. So I feel that if the midfield of Nigeria could have done it against Cameroon, if they could have done it and delivered the result against South Africa, I feel they can replicate and even a better performance against the Algerians.
Before you go to the question, they're really going to be stretched, especially in the midfield, because you have Godurera, who has been good, and the setup of the Algerian midfield has been really good.
Yeah, I do understand that, and then so as not to also preempt the ability of this Algerian side, but take nothing away from the Super Eagles of Nigeria as well, because you want to give them a big kudos. So far in the tournament, I think the Nigerian team have scored about 6 goals so far. So if you're talking about the technicality of the Algerians, as their strength, How about looking into their weakness as well? Because I did watch their match against the Ivorians, and I feel that, you know, it can really be very cagey for them if you are able to stand up to them in the midfield. You know, you watch the game against the Ivorians, you saw that at a point in the game, they had to resort to, you know, soaking in the pressure and then hitting the Ivorians on the counter attack. So, but the Super Eagles of Nigeria is not a team known for that. We are known for pressing. We are known for, you know, taking play to these oppositions, you know, with the likes of the wingers.
Well, the possession against South Africa would beg to differ, because when you look at the possession stats, Nigeria against South Africa, it was huge. The margin was different. But before we forget about that question that I asked earlier about the defense being able to hold its own against the attack of the Algerians, I would like you to answer that. Do you feel the defense will be good enough against the attack of the Algerians?
Yes, certainly. But then the defense has been a bit shaky in this tournament. But if you have studied Nigerian teams so far, especially in this Africa Cup of Nations, you will know that, you know, they steady grow into competition. And then a whole lot of time, Nigerian teams are also known to provide exceptional performances even when you undermine them the most.
Okay, yeah, but going into the attack for the Super Eagles, I think they found their feet in getting a couple of goals. We saw the goals against Cameroon, saw the goals too against South Africa, but they are going to be playing against the defense that has conceded just one goal in this tournament. Although it's not sure if Youssef Attal, the right back, is going to be playing, but you have Bel Amiri, you have Bentimbeni, who have been very good in this tournament. Do you think Igalo and the likes will be able to breach this defense?
Now, before I go straight into your question, Solomon, I want you to know that in the last 3 meetings of the Super Eagles of Nigeria with the Desert Foxes of Algeria, you know, Nigeria have always come up top. You know, you want to go far back as the AFCON 2010 that was hosted in Angola. You know, during their 3rd place match, Nigeria won that match by a goal to nil. And then you want to remember the World Cup qualifiers that was held between 2016 and 2017. You know, as at that time, you want to, everyone made a case that, oh, Algerians are going into this fixture as the best team in Africa. But what happened? They came to Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo here in Nigeria, and then they were stunned by 3-1. Nigeria went back to Algeria, where it finished 1-1. So you want to say that, you know, Nigeria has a momentum against this Algerian side. And make no mistake about it, that's Nigeria's spirit to come back alive.
Well, you said the Nigeria spirit will come alive, but would you be disappointed if Nigeria loses that game?
I will be absolutely disappointed. I'll be disappointed because I've always predicted, and I continue to predict, that AFCON 2019 is Nigeria's to take, and their 4th AFCON title.
And the Nigeria spirit will come alive. Dennis has been a bit overly patriotic at this time now. So you're not going to be getting off easy. You're going to be predicting. What do you see from that game in your crystal ball? Algeria versus Nigeria.
It can really be very difficult to predict this on Solomon, but for certain, I see Nigeria in the final. But, you know, although the Algerian defense has been very resolute, you know, just as we have pointed out in our show so far, but I see them conceding 2 against Nigeria, and probably Nigeria conceding 1. So I go for a 2-1 scoreline.
But it's 2-1 from Dennis, and we're going to be holding him up on that if it does go all right. Thank you so much for coming, Dennis.
Always a pleasure.
Well, that's our package for you today. My name is Solomon Fowe, and this has been Guardian Sports. Make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms. That's on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. And if you're not subscribed already, you should subscribe right now and turn on the notification. Thank you so much for watching.